Basically what he's saying is, I can carry too. I can deal damage in these team fights. And we'll see how this works out for GEEK SLATE as we enter the Land of Dawn for game number 1. Already with an early setup here, the Earth Shatter, as he got more control in the mid lane bottom side push.
Bottom, well, both Kadira and as well as Saken will opt for that Purify here, realizing that there are going to be a lot of crowd control from each as Beloyski will fill that Edith roam, and my goodness, it's just the Grok versus Edith, very, very huge roamers in the Land of Dawn.
It's just a clash of juggernauts in the roaming department, but you can see that in the early game, Key will not be nearly as active, as playmaking heavy as an Edith. It's also a very unusual pick right here, but he's also providing a lot of wave clear. So in the mid lane, so far, Moreno's having a bit of problems. Later on, it's going to be a weird situation here where Moreno can do a lot more burst damage and deny the gold laner that way. But for GEEK SLATE, a boy can have a lot more range, a lot more utility for his team as well, aside from just bursting down with a real-world manipulation. So later on, I think he has a bit more flexibility in his approach, but in the top side, Luke actually does get taken down. That's a first blood for Key.
Yeah, amazing execution there. I feel like Luke he just caught off guard there, and there you go. The first blood will fall to the hands of the red robots. Do not bot side now. Saken will pop that BMI. I do want to note this, right? 3 support emblems from the side of BIGETRON Alpha, a lot of movement speed in store. So again, BIGETRON Alpha showing that they are going to rotate faster.
Key just trapped himself there in the corner with his own barrier, but anyways, you're looking at the wave. Chidera's really playing this well, man. He's really shutting Saken down based on the farm. He's already got a pretty good lead here, and Saken needs to walk up every single time. He always needs to get punished here. Meanwhile, wait, Rizzo jumping in on the Janna, who's going to be immobilized here. That's a split as well, but Luke jumps in with the Raven Spider, but still going to be Max, who finds the Retribution. Even 2 kills on the board for BIGETRON Alpha. The secure from Max, and that's what the anti-CC brings to the table on the Martis.
Very good execution, BIGETRON Alpha. Their setup was perfect and their execution was on point. GEEK SLATE, they were not in the favor. So what happened there, Arashi?
Janna was just trying to walk up, but there's just a lot more damage available for BIGETRON. And like Mirko mentioned, there wasn't any crowd control immunity built into the Fredrin, so the Wild Charge was used as well. And in the early game, I think they just have to play it a bit more safely. At least for now, right? Once they have a bit more items, a bit more tankiness to try to withstand some of the damage, maybe then they can try and match up against BIGETRON Alpha head-to-head like that.
That fierce neutral objective fight, right? The side of GEEK SLATE, they were unfortunately clumped up, which were just, Wild Charge into place. Martis grabbing, taking that turtle was huge as well. So with that fight and as well as neutral objective secured, this can be a snowball game here for the side of BIGETRON.
Definitely, and I think that's what they're aiming for with the Martis pick, right? The only reason you go for the Martis here is to secure more neutral objectives and also add more killing pressure early on. With their mid lane control, you would expect that it should be GEEK SLATE who has more to say, but because of that Grok, early game you would actually give it over to BIGETRON Alpha in terms of these neutral objective fights. And again, for the first turtle especially, it revolves a lot around the XP lane. Glue, such an oppressive force in lane.
Well, you can see that Luke already falling a bit behind here, 0 and 2, so he's not in the advantage position that he requires to try and be a big playmaker for his team. This double crowd control immunity situation for BIGETRON Alpha has been very useful for them, and they are trying to push towards Janna QT yet again. We talked about him being very adept on the assassins, but not so much on the utility. Fredrin is a good mix of both, but in the early game, he's going to be struggling quite a bit with BIGETRON being so aggressive.
Yeah, the HS has been secured already by Saken, so with that in mind, right, if GEEK SLATE forces themselves on towards that bot side, towards that gold lane, Saken will have an okay damage with that DHS. They need to be careful here as Key is such a nuisance on this Grok.
He has 2 kills as well, mind you, so he's been very, very active, and he's just not punishable, not just yet. Later on, once GEEK SLATE has a bit more damage, right? If he walks up, too aggressively like this, there's a chance they can just burst him down. They do have a carry later on that can deal well with these tanks, but Moreno has been a lot more successful in roaming around. Luke is once again forced to burn his flicker, not for an aggressive purpose.
I mean, if we're talking about Luke, right, we talked about him using that flicker previous fighter for as an offense, as a playmaker, but twice we already saw him flickering away as a defense, so that's not a good sign here for side of GEEK SLATE. No playmaker, and BIGETRON Alpha with that. Take a look, already securing the second neutral objective.
This is just the BIGETRON Alpha oppression that we saw with Max and Chorizo in the lineup. They're able to get neutral objectives on the board, and even the early game control so well. We even saw this up against Onyx, right? The way that they're able to control the games up until a certain point, but then they throw the lead. That's the virus from BIGETRON Alpha. That's their sickness right now that they really need to find a cure for. Unfortunately for now, GEEK SLATE are just going to be ragdolled over. That's going to be the split, bringing him back. Moreno picks up the kill, and they disengage. Clean by BIGETRON Alpha.
Waste of spell resources, well buried by Beloyski. Flickers away, but again, just the sharpness from the execution is just too huge. And take a look at Kadera. He is making the move here. BIGETRON looking for the top side now.
Seems like GEEK SLATE will be able to rotate in time, but we were talking a lot about a boy, and this is the highlighted matchup here. The Yib against the Lunox. And for GEEK SLATE, a boy has been just stuck in the mid lane, clearing again and again. He hasn't been able to move around because of the threat coming in from Key and Max, right? If he missteps in the jungle just a bit, he can get completely run down, and he's running a flicker. So if he gets chased down by a Martis, by a Grok as well, he can't purify the crowd control, and he cannot outrun that Martis either. So he is just out of options until later on in the game.
The first structure in the game has been taken down. BIGETRON Alpha winning that first blood in the structure, top bot side. Tier 1 down, and again, slowly but surely now they're looking for the invade here. Let's see, will they commit to this?
So far, it's pretty low action, but with two Averses inside of BIGETRON Alpha, they've been able to take some trades and have a lot of effectiveness. But then play the top side, Purify, Chidera saves his life for now.
Yep, that's the Purify. Even Beloy backing off. Jana looking for some more, but with Max, he's always going to be able to disengage. He's going to be the one frontlining too. That's BIGETRON Alpha putting a whole lot of pressure up top. And look at Sakin. He's just been free farming in the mid lane when Beloyski is getting engaged on, forced to use the Purify. Sakin is all alone, mid lane, just farming up a storm. Now gets caught in the Earth Shatter, finishes up the Golden Staff, and that's a massive power spike. Top lane tier 1 gonna fall to the minions as well. BIGETRON Alpha with full control in this game. Luke is looking for an opening, but GEEK SLATE, I think they're making the right decision here. There's no way they contest for this. Max is 2 levels. Oh, now he's only 1 level ahead, but with that level advantage, with the gold lead that they have, neutral objective takes not going to be good for GEEK SLATE at all. Key, again, opening up the map, and BIGETRON Alpha, once again, wow, really good capitalization on the mistakes that GEEK SLATE are making instantly with another turret take.
They're suffocating their opponent here, Arashi. GEEK SLATE, though, whoa! It's going to be me and you, Arashi, here, taking on 4 guys in the Talents prediction. BIGETRON Alpha suffocating again, all tier 1s taken down, and it's just textbook. GEEK SLATE, little to no response.
Speaking of the power spikes, right, Saken has reached it at like 6 minutes and 30 seconds. It's very good, on point, a bit fast even for a Claude.
Oh my God.
And on the flip side, Luke has only now finished his Bloodlust Axe, so he's completely behind the curve. If you look at the gold difference right here by Uga as gold, let's say 3,700 gold compared to the 5,000 of Chorizo. So now, the issue is that GEEK SLATE does not have a reliable front line, so they can't even contest the vision, and this is why BIGETRON Alpha are so free to just keep moving into the jungle of GEEK SLATE, and they don't really have an answer. All their heroes are meant for DPS and long fights. No one does any kind of serious pick-off crowd control or burst damage, so they just have to stuck and try to wait out patiently this very oppressive, suffocating mid-game until they can get to the late game where their items will allow them to finally match up against BIGETRON Alpha, if BIGETRON Alpha lets them do so.
I like the itemization here from Sakin too, Rashi. You mentioned that he's just been free farming, he's been getting those power spikes really fast, and because of that, there's no real need for him to respect any sort of damage coming in, right? They're so far ahead, he goes for the Corrosion Scythe, 3rd item here. You saw the path, and now, honestly, I don't even think he needs to go for Wind of Nature. It's unnecessary. Luke is behind. That's the only physical damage threat. Chidera does true damage. So I think he's going for Melfic Roar, or if you really want to play it safe, Immortality. That's your best shot at defense.
Yeah, I think that extra life can be the difference maker. Also, do note that Moreno, he knows he's ahead, right? With Clock of Destiny, he immediately builds that Genius Wand. Not even the Lightning Truncheon, and that's just a fast, comfortable Lord here. GEEK SLATE, they look lost.
Just completely overwhelmed right here with a 7k gold lead in the hands of BIGETRON Alpha right now. And the issue is they have no way of trying to make any plays. Valoy is on an Edith. They have to try and wait it out. Better at counter-engaging compared to actually engaging. Luke, their main aggressor that usually enables his team, can't jump in because he's way too behind. No damage, not enough tankiness. And even a boy, he can slow down the members of BIGETRON Alpha, but overall, once he does that, there's no follow-up. There's not enough damage to try and take down Sorizo or Max or Key. So these three frontline walls are just completely just standing there dominantly in the face of GEEK SLATE, and they really can't do anything about it. Best they can do right now is try and hold on to the structures as long as possible, try and clear, and once they're in their base, maybe then they can find and do something, unless they find Kadira.
Socket with a blazing duet there. That's going to be Moreno stunned up and taken down. The first kill over to GEEK SLATE. Sorizo still able to escape from the real world inflation as it does a little bit more damage there onto Sorizo. Mid lane tier 2 going to be taken low as well. Moreno taken down for the gold laner. I think BIGETRON Alpha still going to be happy with this trade as they look for more turrets on the board, more siege potential. Without the carry and without a boy having that RWM, it should still be BIGETRON Alpha having more pressure in the siege. That's the base turret passive popped in the mid lane. Now they're looking for more, but honestly at this point, they're just looking to pop those passives for the next push. And BIGETRON Alpha, once again, staying disciplined. They've learned from their mistakes. They're no longer biggest throw with this lineup.
Ooh, 11 minutes in though. Still quite early here. Miracle, let's see. 8,000 gold lead, you're right. BIGETRON Alpha, take a look at the total kills. It might be the lowest total kills here in the season, 1 to 5, 11 minutes in. Let's see though, will this add up?
Sorizo with a slam pass combo. That's a 3-man knockup, and Sakin jumps in with blazing duet, but T gets caught. GEEK SLATE with that counter attack. It's only BIGETRON Alpha losing Key, but again, they have to be very careful. This is where the BIGETRON Alpha Season 11 virus comes to play, man, in the base.
During this base defense, I mean, keep in mind, it is 12 minutes, so GEEK SLATE are behind, but they are getting some of the items. And it's important to take a look at a boy, because he is one of the main tools that GEEK SLATE has right now. He has a glowing one, I believe, and against all these beefier members, they're able to shrug off a lot of the damage. But once the game keeps rolling, once more items gets built up, Chidera has built-in percentage HP damage in his kit, and with the glowing one, a boy is now relevant in the damage department. So BIGETRON Alpha has to be a lot more careful. And so far, as you mentioned, Mirko, they're still maintaining discipline, but GEEK SLATE just found like an inkling of hope there and a chance to try and get a winning fight against BIGETRON Alpha.
I mean, earlier, right, it was Sakin, Max, and Sorizo in that top 3 damage dealt. So it's clear that these lineup, this composition is just heavy duty. BIGETRON now looking for the zone out. Will they commit to this Lord? GEEK SLATE again. They are not able to do anything. There are, no contest whatsoever.
There's no real need for them to contest, because if they contest, it's
a
them
gamble.
taking a very big gamble, a very bad gamble at that, right? The risk is too much, and GEEK SLATE are playing it really safe. They're very safe investors, is what it looks like right now. They're just missing out on every single chance to fight back. That's going to be Magic Sentry popped in. BIGETRON Alpha looking to capitalize on the fact now in the mid lane with the slam pass, zoning the other members away. That's going to be the Hans Lord dealing damage. Sakin going to be knocked back up, but has a Purify, melting everybody down with a blazing duet. But that's one member taken down as well. The roamer from both teams taken down. Luke finds the stun on the Sakin, but with nature, he's still able to survive. Max losing his immortality, and this might be it. BIGETRON Alpha, they're going to lose Max, and GEEK SLATE will be able to prolong the game once again. BTR unable to fully capitalize.
This is what Luke does, right? With that flicker, I mentioned it, we mentioned it here. You use the flicker as an offense. If you use it as a defense, Luke It's just, yeah, you can't do anything. And there you go. The Flicker Bravest Fighter finally connecting on towards the BIGETRON side.
They have a lot more counter-engage in their composition. Let's take a look at that replay. In the beginning, BIGETRON went for the giant. It's a very aggressive 5-man conceal. They jump in for the play, but they get punished afterwards because, like I mentioned, there's so many more counter-engage tools available for GEEK SLATE. They use initially the Edict to stop the initial charge, and afterwards they catch out BIGETRON Alpha off guard using Luke, who was behind, but he provides enough with that utility, with that stun, and with the turn of events. The gold lead is still 7.5k, but you can see that GEEK SLATE has damage. So BIGETRON Alpha now are on the back foot only when Geek has the protection of their base though. So while in the outside, in the jungle and in the lanes, BIGETRON Alpha can still be very dominant in how they want to position.
I swear, it's so weird every single time. BIGETRON Alpha, they get such a massive gold lead, 10k Arashi. I mean, the item speaks for itself, but again, when they have the lead, when they have the Lord, they don't utilize the waves properly. They pushed in with one wave with the Enhanced Lord. Sure, if it was an Evolved Lord, you can go for that one straight push, one lane with the buffs that the Evolved Lord gives you, but with the Enhanced Lord, I'm failing to understand why they didn't go for the 3-wave push that's already built up. I mean, the side waves were slow pushing. Those were stacked up minion waves.
Yeah, not a good sign. I mean, take a look at the damage dealt now. It was 3 members from instead of BIGETRON, Boy and Kadera catching up here. Again, Arashi, Kadera already built him more items, almost full items, and he is on his way to Athena. So GEEK SLATE, they have equalized technically.
He has the Wind of Nature as well, and considering he does true damage, we've already covered this, he has a bit more outplay potential, but he needs to make sure that he does not fall victim to Moreno. Right now, the main issue is just how Sakan can just go in the back line, and with the Purifier active, they can't really stop the Blazing Duet, so they are forced to tank the damage as BIGETRON, they go for a big play, the Wild Charge connects.
Oh, Beloyski melted down there. There's going to be a lot of damage in the back line as that's going to be Sakan with the Blazing Duet onto a boy, dealing some damage. Beloy down, Luke flickering forward with a stun, but that's the Brilliance dodging away from it. Moreno still in the midst. Jana going to be caught and taken down by Max as that's the Decimate. BIGETRON Alpha, do they look for an N angle or they look for the Enhanced Lord? Without the minion waves here, it seems like they are going to set their sights on ending this game. 8k gold lead, Chidera and a boy still alive. RWM not up just yet. Keen now with a barrier, trying to force them out. Moreno with a flicker, but that's going to be quick to respond and back into it. Wild Charge, perfectly timed. Moreno 1 HP, but Chidera, they're all going to be ignoring him as they go for the base. And BIGETRON Alpha secure game 1.
What a game from BIGETRON Alpha. Textbook and very, very clear. Almost there. Almost. They quote-unquote threw the game. But again, GEEK SLATE with the, I guess, the slow response. Luke flickering on towards a 4 players there. Not a good move. Not a wise execution.
It's hard to measure almost because almost is never enough. BIGETRON Alpha, they nearly lost that game again, losing their advantage, but they kept it cool. They reformed how they were going to approach, and they went for the decisive end. And I feel like it all started in the drafting phase.
Agreed.
And GEEK SLATE, they're a team that wants to get advantage. They're a team that wants to have momentum, but they have an Edith. And on top of that, they also have